Welcome back to Up the Villa. On today's episode, we are going to be having an overview of Aston Villa's transfer window. We're going to be rating every single signing, and we're just going to have a general thought process on how we have done in this window. So Villa fans, get involved. Let me know how you're feeling about the transfer window, the signings that we've made. Where do you feel like that this leaves us? If you are new, make sure you are subscribing on the road to 28k. Make sure you're hitting that like button. And as always, comment your thoughts, goes off like a fan forum. The window is shut. I'm not going to lie, guys. That has been the most draining, difficult, tough window for us to get our heads around, to navigate, to sign players, to work around. And hats off to Emery, Monchi Vision, the staff at Villa that have been able to navigate it and bring players in for Aston Villa. Fair play to them all. Because this window has been so difficult. We have PSR, we navigated it, we sold the women's team. We thought, right, that's done. Premier League, we can spend. And if we weren't in Europe, we'd be able to spend. And then we get hit with SCR, which is the most difficult aspect of it, which is just so, as a football fan, talking from this, it stinks. Absolutely stinks. Why does it stink? Because we were in the Championship. We've gone on a journey from Championship to Champions League. We have competed in the Champions League. How do you get there? How do you go from the Championship competing with Sheffield United, Preston, Barnsley, Rotherham, to competing with PSG, Juventus, all of those top clubs, Real Madrid? But how do you get there? You're going to have to make sacrifices along the way. You're going to have difficult moments. You're going to have to be able to find ways to be able to compete, maybe with wages, etc. And UEFA want to punish clubs that are striving to compete with certain clubs that hold revenue streams that are just so difficult for clubs like Aston Villa to get anywhere near. Aston Villa's revenue is on the rise. Revenue is the most important aspect right now of our football club on how we compete. If you have loads and loads of revenue, we're talking 500, 600, 700 million pounds worth of revenue guaranteed each season, you are able to compete. Aston Villa, highest was last season's financials, around 340, 350, which was very good. Next season looks like it's going to improve as well. But that is not enough for Aston Villa to be able to compete with the likes of Manchester United when they're finishing bottom half of the Premier League and are still able to go out and spend all that money. Sporting integrity, if you do rubbish, how are you then allowed to then go and blow all of that money? And that element of it stinks, but it's the revenue that those types of clubs that are able to generate season in, season out, guaranteed, not on the pitch. That doesn't dictate what they can do. Whereas for Villa at the minute, it actually kind of does, because Villa need to be in Europe, bringing in those sets of financials as well. So it's just very difficult on how, as a football fan, to see your club doing so well on the pitch, then being dictated by UEFA and these financial rules to how we can spend, because Aston Villa have got massive ambitions. We've got wealthy owners. We've got a manager that wants us to be in the Champions League season in, season out. And he can probably get us there if he was able to have the tools to be able to do it. And quite frankly, we are not allowed to do that because UEFA have kind of got their hammer on us and hand on us saying, whoa, chill out a bit, chill out, get back in your lane. So as a football fan, that's just very difficult to be able to see how your team can operate, and it makes it so much more difficult. I look at Nottingham Forest spending all this money in this window. Everton have spent a bit. Don't worry. Their time will come. They will be in exactly the same situation as Aston Villa. So I just hope that we've been able to navigate this tough period and should allow us to spend in those future windows as well. So it's been tough because at 1 minute you look like you've got a player, the next you don't, you're excited, you then sort of Fabrizio's having a bit of a mare. So it's been a real tough window for Aston Villa, but we've been able to navigate it. In the end, we've been able to bring in some top players that for me should give this team an absolute lift. There's been tough moments where academy players have had to leave in Jacob Ramsey. And then we've also had tough moments where we're going into a game against Crystal Palace and then your goalkeeper is looking to move to Manchester United. A squad that have looked quite down and quite flat with what's going on. They need a lift. And your goalkeeper is just angling for a move. It's not good. But how do Aston Villa operate in this window? There's been a great article by Jacob Tanswell of The Athletic saying what we've kind of always thought within this window. We want players to come in for the here and now that are able to just slot in and play. I've got a quote here. Emery's request was simple, to bring players in for here and now, but the lack of finance available made that increasingly difficult. Emery is the overarching decision maker, with other senior figures such as Monchi facilitating his wishes. It is the manager-led recruitment process with several players brought to him and dismissed. So Emery has had the overriding decision on who comes in this window. It sounds there that Monchi's brought players to him and he has declined those players. So there's my heartfelt thoughts on this window. We are now going to review and rank the players that Aston Villa have signed. And then we'll touch on outgoings as well. Because a transfer window, we can look at players coming in. But what have we been able to do with players leaving as well? Sometimes we don't look at the leaving players that have helped as well and the good business that has been done by moving some of those players on as well. So here we have Bizot, Elliott, Sancho, Guessand, and Lindeloff. We're not going to do Redmond, Kebasise. We're not going to do those players. We're going to do these players. So far then, from what I've seen from Bizot, I'm going to give Bizot a solid 8 as a signing. We know that Olsen was pretty poor overall. But Bizot's come in a tough environment. First game of the season against Newcastle United. Top team coming to Villa Park. As a goalkeeper, you are heavily scrutinised. One debut, one bad mistake, and it's all over. You don't trust them, right? So his debut, he made a clean sheet. Really good. Against Palace, penalty. The other saves, I don't really think he had too much in the way of being criticised for him, really. He looks a solid goalkeeper that is heavily can be relied upon, which is the most important aspect. If Bizot's in goal, I'm feeling quite calm and quite comfortable. A lot's got to happen sometimes for a goal to go in the back of the net. It's very easy to pinpoint the last person that actually sees an action within that goal being conceded. So it's an astute signing, a clever signing, a good signing, and should play good backup to a number one goalkeeper. So Bizot, for me, gets a solid 8. We'll then go with Lindeloff, who I'm going to give a 7 for Lindeloff. I think this could possibly be a very under the radar. No one's fussed. No one's fussed, are they? It comes on a free, but he adds experience, he adds knowledge, he adds understanding. He can be probably relied upon. And yes, he's played for a bad Manchester United side over the years, but I think that there's a good, solid professional there, international player that's played well at international level as well. So it just made sense to bring someone like Lindeloff in. Would we have liked to have gone out and bought a backup to Konsa or backup right back? Of course we would. But we can see that this window has been very difficult to navigate and funds have had to go into certain areas. So Lindeloff, to get him as a free backup, will he do better than Disasi? Quite possibly. Is he probably a bit cheaper? Maybe, because I guess that was a massive loan fee for Disasi. So 2-year deal, not a bad signing. Guessand, I'm going to go for an 8 on Guessand, because I actually feel like Guessand looks to me to be a player that's really versatile, really attacking. It's very difficult to judge him just off how long has he played? About 55 minutes of football at Villa. Don't judge him off that Crystal Palace performance, because that's a tough game, guys. I think we've got to evaporate that from our minds, to be honest, and go again, as the saying goes. But really versatile, left, right striker. And I think he's going to add a lot. Europa League, it's an extra attacking player, unpredictable. I think it might take him a little bit of time to understand Emery's system, in and out the team, etc. But like I say, I think we've all been excited by Guessand, and I think he's someone that will really benefit the squad, and he looks like a player that the other players enjoy working with as well. Sancho, again, he's going to get an 8. And this one is very Marmite. And I learned a lot from Rashford. Just don't block out noise. Block out noise of Manchester United, because that fan base is big and that fan base can be heard. And that opinion of that fan base sometimes isn't warranted, because they're just a mess. So Sancho, yeah, at Man United, not really being great, but look at the environment. It's just not right. Is that a great environment for any player to play in? No, it's not. And yes, you think, okay, step up and play well, but you can see he's moved to Chelsea. Was his move to Chelsea good? Yeah, won a trophy. He played substantial minutes, in and out the team a little bit. Goals and assists were okay. But at Villa, you come to Villa and you become a big time player. You are given license to hold that position and that profile and be that guy. Look at the Rashford move, for example. That 5 months of Rashford was very, very good. Now, if we get a whole season out of Sancho of a very good standard, then this will be a top signing. He adds a lot to this team that we currently don't have. So, Unai, just work your magic, get him playing well, and that could be a very astute signing from Aston Villa. And Harvey Elliott is a 10-10 for me. Harvey Elliott, what a deal this is. The deal has got an obligation that he has to make 11 appearances. So he'll do that easy. And then Aston Villa signing for about 30. The Villa side of things are saying, Liverpool are saying it's 35. So it's a great deal. And it's a player that has got fantastic numbers. He has got a great temperament. And what a compliment that Liverpool fans are sad to see him go. That is the biggest element, that Liverpool fans, with their players, are sad to see him go. So it's a great signing. He's going to add so much creativity, but more what he's about, his desire, mentality. He's got that little bit of swagger about him. So for me, Elliott is a top signing. And in my opinion, that is good reading that we've made some really, really good signings. Other signings that we've made, Keba Cisse and Redmond, again, very difficult to look at these players and think that they are going to make it at Aston Villa. It's the total unknown. The Redmond one for me looks like he'll be signed for a free, build his value, and I'd probably say moved on. That is just the general gist of how I see that going. And then we have got outgoings, and there are a lot. Dobbin, loan. Ziyech, Coutinho off the wage bill completely. Illing Jr. loan. Gauchi loan. Dendonka gone for good. Nedeljkovic loan. Baranchea loan obligation. Moreno, Kessler Hayden, Marshall, Redmond, Ozcan, and Bailey. That job that Monchi's done there to significantly reduce Aston Villa's wage bill with those players leaving is absolutely brilliant stuff. A lot of them on loan, but loans still work for SCR as well. A couple have got obligations in there as well. To move on Coutinho was probably so difficult. To move on Dendonka was probably so difficult. So that work there really needs to be commended. So I'm going to touch on now probably one of the most darkest parts of our transfer window and something that I am very, very disappointed in. And I'm going to talk about it because I do feel like it shouldn't be just brushed under the carpet. It shouldn't be just, he's world's number one. He's done so much for us. He's stayed. He'll be integrated. Let's talk about what actually happened. So, Emi Martinez has been talking to Manchester United for some time. He has had conversations this window with Manchester United. He has actively wanted to leave Aston Villa to go to Manchester United. And I am fine with that. I am fine with Emi Martinez wanting to leave Aston Villa. I've got no problem with it. But timing is everything. Timing. Read the room. Read what's happened at Aston Villa. Luca Dean, reduced contract, reduced wages. What a player. Doing something like that is very, very good for Aston Villa. McGinn, apparently, he might be doing something similar. We've got players and coming out after Ramsey left, talking about the difficult situation. Did it help for the mood? Probably didn't from Mings and McGinn, but they are fully aware of the situation at Villa. And it's probably good to see that they understand the situation at Aston Villa. Emi Martinez, on the day before and on the day of Crystal Palace, it came out that he wanted to go back into Manchester United. Timing, a complete disaster. When you can see probably in the mood of what the dressing room's like, with a severe lack of signings. And in the article that Jacob Tanswell did on Martinez, Emiliano Martinez spent transfer deadline day at Aston Villa's training ground, Bodymoor Heath, waiting for a call about a move to Manchester United that never came. The Aston Villa goalkeeper, 32, had made little secret of his desire to move to Old Trafford this summer, and even called on his Argentinian teammate, defender Lisandro Martinez, to try and advocate for him to people at United, which he duly did. Timing is everything. And if he was going to go, he should have gone at the start of the window. And to do that and to push for that move that late in the window and leave Villa scrambling probably for a goalkeeper that let his teammates down, we can talk about the mood in the team when Ramsey left. What about the mood in the team when your goalkeeper has decided he wants to jump ship and leave to go to Manchester United? Timing was everything, and it's just simply not good. Not good to see. And now he's not going to move, and now he's at Aston Villa. And yes, we are funny things that, like, one good game, one good clean sheet. But in the situation of what this window's been like, I can't help but feel a little bit disappointed in him. So, not good in my opinion. Not good at all. So, what did we need in this window would probably be my next. And what did I want going into it? So I wanted a right back, I wanted a second striker to Watkins, and an attacker. And I think we've kind of covered some of those. We've not really got the out-and-out Watkins attacker, but we've kind of got Guessand that is a striker that's been inverted into an inverted player that likes to invert. So that's okay. Right back, we've kind of still got Garcia, Cash, Lindeloff. Cons can go there. Lindeloff can play centre half. So we've got adequate cover there. So I think we've done okay in that aspect of it. And now I'd just like to touch on what I feel like we probably need to do moving forward. And I think we now need to start our scouting right now of what Emery's looking for and what Emery's after. I would imagine this window, like we touched on earlier, was very here and now. So Monchi could have gone with a name that was younger, and then we go, no, it's not going to work. But I think for the future, we've really got to work on our scouting of bringing in specific players that are probably a little bit cheaper, because I don't feel like we can keep going after the name. I think we've got to branch out a little bit more. And I think our finances will probably dictate what we are able to do as well. So they'll be able to maybe mean that we can just go for the players that we really want to go for. And I think we've got to give a shout out to Kamara, who signed his new deal as well. That was really good to see him do that. We was able to keep most of the players that I wanted to keep. Watkins, Rodgers, Kamara, Tielemans. No out-and-out big hitter really left, which was really good. So I think the window's been solid in the circumstances of what we've had to deal with. You have to look at that. You cannot look at it without looking at that. So by looking at what we've had to do and what we've had to navigate, I think I'd give it an 8. A solid 8, because we've brought in good players, we've moved players on, and we've had our hands tied behind our back. So well done to the whole Villa team for being able to save the window at the very, very end. And I'm now quite comfortable with what we've got, and Emery's got to get to work now and get this team back firing, confident. And they will be confident with the arrivals, because a player like Sancho will bring a massive lift. Harvey Elliott will bring a massive lift. So let's get back down to work. And cheers, everyone who's been watching. I want to just say thanks to everyone that's been watching Transfer Hub, watching me do every single rumour. I react to them. It's rumours, noise, murmurings, incomings, outgoings, you name it. And we're there to bring the rumours. I am not interested in being an ITK. I'm not interested in getting them right. I am interested in creating fun content, talking about transfer targets that Aston Villa are potentially looking to bring in. So hopefully I've entertained you over the summer. It's been very draining, very tiring. So hopefully you have all enjoyed the content. The channel has absolutely exploded this summer with the direction that it's gone in. So thank you all for watching. But for now, Transfer Hub, it's back in the loft. I'm putting it in the loft. Transfer Hub, it's in the loft until January. So we'll fire it up. We'll get the generators. We'll stick the batteries on charge, and we'll stick it in the loft for a bit. So cheers everyone for watching. Up the Villa.